everybody, and welcome in to Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. I'm your host, Trage. It is Tuesday, July 30th. Who would have thought? It is almost August. It is almost August already. It is crazy how fast this year is flying by. Flying by right there. We've been gone for a couple days. Gone last week Friday. Didn't get a show in. We had some issues with the server the night before, and then ended up we were gone all weekend down at one of the county fairs here in the state of Wisconsin. So we were gone all weekend, got home late on Sunday night, and well, Autumn was tapped out. She was tapped out. She didn't want to jump on. I can't do it without my audio person, my stat checker. I can't do it without the backroom people, right? I got my dogs over here. I got Autumn here too. I mean, we can't do it without the backroom people. So we're here. We're back today. Lots to get into. Holy crapola. There has been so much that has happened since we last talked. But Autumn and I are back today. Autumn, how are we doing? Tuesday, great day, trade deadline today. It should be a good day. I don't know. We're going to talk about it today. But Autumn, how are we doing on this Tuesday?
We're doing pretty good. I'm excited for the trade deadline, and you can only hope that the Brewers will make some sort of a big move. I'm not super optimistic just based off their history, but we've had a couple of moves, which I'm excited to talk about today.
So we're going to get into it today. If we think the Brewers are going to make a move, if we don't think they're going to make a move, who they could potentially make moves for. The list is getting shorter and shorter of some of the bigger name guys that we've talked about in the past. So we're going to wait and see here if the Brewers do make a move. I'm really hoping that it's sooner rather than later before a lot of these guys are off the market here. But like I said, lots to get into. I want to start right where the world is sitting right now, and that is in the Olympics. We got some big stuff happening in the Olympics. Not really crazy stuff happening. But we did see the men's team. They took a win over the weekend there. Got a win over Serbia. Got the best of Jokic there, which was good to see. Flip side of it, we did not see Jason Tatum play a minute in that game against Serbia. I thought that was kind of fascinating to me, just because Jason Tatum's Jason Tatum. Like, you're talking about one of the best dudes in the NBA. Now you listen to Steve Kerr. And Steve Kerr, says that he messed up and he should have played him. And, they were up. I think they won that game like 100-something to 84. Like, it wasn't like it was a close ball game. But he said he was, he talked to Jason before the game started. And he said it was, going to depend on matchups and lineups and everything like that. And this was a possibility. How is it a possibility, though, is my question. How is it never a possibility that we don't see LeBron James play or we don't see Kevin Durant play? But we're talking about one of the up-and-coming stars in the NBA. And, he's been in the NBA for a little while right now, And I'm not saying that, Jason Tatum's the greatest player on that team. But Jason Tatum's also, we're talking about just went to the finals with the Celtics, Jason Tatum. Now, if Jaylen Brown was on that team and also didn't play, then I'd be baffled. Because then you'd be talking about two guys who went to the NBA finals who did not play, and they were two of the main catalysts on that team. I don't know. Just an interesting storyline off of that one there, not seeing Jason Tatum at all. So we did see, like I said, United States, they moved to 1-0 starting out here in the Olympics. They're 1-0. South Sudan, who gave the United States a scare there. We talked about that a little bit a couple weeks ago, a week ago on the show here. They're sitting at 1-0 in Group C. Puerto Rico 0-1, and then Serbia at 0-1 now too. Looking over, some of the other notable teams, I guess. We have Giannis with Greece there. They ended up losing that first matchup there. So Giannis and Greece, they fall to 0-1. Giannis can only do so much. Watching him play, dude's getting buckets, but he can only do so much for a team that can't shoot. So Greece sitting there at 0-1 in Group A right now. The U.S. women's team, who has not lost, and I believe they haven't lost in the Olympics in like 50. Autumn, look at the streak. See if you can find the streak of the women's basketball team in the Olympics. How long is that winning streak that they have? It's at least 50-some games, I believe there. But it's something ridiculous. It's something ridiculous like that. But they got the win. Their first game there, they moved to 1-0. They beat Japan 102-76. So not even a close game. Brittany Griner's like 7 feet taller than everybody on Team Japan. So that did not help. Autumn, you got it?
Yeah, so they are undefeated at the Olympics since 1992. So the USA women's team are seeking their 8th straight gold with a 56-game win streak.
That's ridiculous, but that tells you how not so good the rest of the world is at basketball. That's what's, I mean, in the women's side at least. The men's side, like we know, is slowly starting to spread apart. I mean, look at Greece, look at Serbia. I mean, South Sudan's got some pretty good players, as we know. So, I mean, there's some pretty good teams on the men's side. You look at the women's side, and it completely changed. I mean, I watched the highlights of that game between the United States and Japan, and I mean, Japan's like, their tallest girl is 3 feet shorter than Brittany Griner. Like, it is just ridiculous watching that game. I mean, you got to play who you got to play. I'm not saying that, you know, the U.S. just, it was this unfair. Well, it kind of was, but I mean, I'm not saying anything against Japan in any way, shape, or form, but the United States was just better. They were bigger. They were just better. That's just the way that it shook out. Japan had to settle a lot from the outside because they weren't taking it inside against Brittany Griner. And, well, we saw the finish. I mean, we saw the finish there, 102-76. There's not a lot of women's basketball teams that score 102 points. So, I mean, that's just blatantly honest. Like, WNBA games don't get up to 102 usually. So, seeing that in this, I mean, it puts a perspective on things. It puts a perspective on them. But, I mean, in good news, they moved to 1-0 in Group C right now. Other notables around there, Serbia is 1-0 in Group A. Spain's 1-0. France and Nigeria both 1-0 in Group B right now. Germany is 1-0 in Group C right now. So that's where the basketball stuff stands in the Olympics right now. So good stuff there. Coming out of the Olympics, some of the weird sports. I was looking up, I was, because I saw some weird sports coming out of the Olympics. So I had to see some of the ones that I saw out there. And I saw, a list of them. I saw one. It was called the modern pentathlon is what they call it. So essentially, it starts with the show jumping on an unfamiliar horse. So you get on a horse and you get on an unfamiliar horse, you do a random jump. It's the weirdest thing that I've seen. And then you move to 2 rounds of fencing, followed by a cool-off with a 200-meter freestyle swim. The final portion is a laser run where athletes alternate between running and shooting at targets. Each competition is divided into men's and women's and runs over 3 days. It was the wildest thing I've seen. I mean, I watched handball. I saw some handball stuff going on. I've heard of handball. I've never seen it. I watched some video of it. That's just crazy. Handball was in there. Table tennis. I thought that was, I mean, some of those people, watching some of them play table tennis. I've played table tennis before. I don't even think I can compete. I mean, did you see any, like, looking at some of these sports, some of these, like, competitions in the Olympics, did you see any weird ones? Did you see any weird ones that you could think of? I mean, that you saw, that you've seen so far, anything like that?
I mean, one thing when I saw it, I mean, it came in the last Olympics, but breakdancing. I guess I don't see it. I personally don't see it as an Olympic sport. But hey, I mean, to each their own. But that was a shocking one to me.
I would go to the watermelon crawl. You know that song, The Watermelon Crawl? I'd come out to that song. I mean, just doing the watermelon crawl. If you can't, what did they say? If you're going to drink, do the watermelon crawl home. You can't drive. So
don't fall, do the watermelon.
There you go. Don't fall, do the watermelon crawl. See, that's why I couldn't do the show without Autumn because I would not have remembered that specific song right there. It's, man, oh man. But some crazy sports that you see in the Olympics, some crazy competitions that you see in the Olympics these days. So with that, I want to get, where should we look now? Wisconsin Badgers. Let's check the Badgers out real quick. We did see last week there, the Badgers did extend Chris McIntosh. He has been the athletic director, has been signed to a 5-year contract extension running through June 30th there, 2029. That includes a pay raise. Well, he's been the athletic director since Barry Alvarez retirement in 2021. So McIntosh has made some good decisions in Madison. There's 2 things, I guess, that I looked at that I said could hinge his job and could be the difference between him getting another extension or potentially being let go. My biggest one, I guess, was Luke Fickell because he put a lot of money in that pot. right? Bringing in Fickell. It was supposed to change the environment. It was supposed to change this team, and bring this program to new heights, something that they haven't been to in a while. It was 11-2, and they'd go 13-1. They'd always lose to Ohio State. That's just how it was. And Luke Fickell was supposed to be the guy to take them over the top, right? Bring in a different regime, bring in a different group of coaches, see what happens. Well, now that McIntosh is extended, we all know, everybody was telling us that we had to wait for Fickell to get his guys into Madison before we truly judged him. Because I judged him early, but I was told I had to wait. Well, in this time period now, we will see Luke Fickell's contract slowly start to dwindle down to less and less years, right? And we're going to see. Was it the right hire? Was it the right hire to move on from Paul Chris when we did? Not hire Jim Leonard, not go a different direction, bring in this big money guy in Luke Fickell who is going to change the program. Is that going to be the right move? I think that is one thing that is going to hinge McIntosh's job. Another one for me, and this is the hot topic, it seems like every single year with the Badgers basketball team, with the men's basketball team, Greg Gard. Because we continuously, and it happens every year, we get the fire Gard. We get the hashtag fire Gard all the time. There's that one loss or that one losing streak, and everybody starts blowing their gasket. I did last year. I mean, if you guys have listened to the show long enough, you guys listened to me blow a gasket. You guys heard Rogan tell me I was wrong, and then like 3 weeks later, you heard Rogan say that he was sorry for telling me I was wrong because then he was on the same boat I was. And Austin, he was sitting at the, what do you call me, the bus stop. He was at the bus stop. He wasn't on the train yet. He was at the bus stop waiting to get on the bus. And at the end of the year, he was on the bus. And, I mean, I didn't want to get to that point. I don't want to get to that point. I don't think Greg Gard is, and a lot of people think it's, a different story to that, but they think Greg Gard's an idiot. I don't think that. I think Greg Gard does know a little bit about the game, right? I mean, Bo Ryan wouldn't have kept Greg Gard along for so long if he didn't think Greg Gard knew something. But it's the decision-making. It's all those little things in there. So, hindsight, I'm not talking about Greg Gard right now. I'm talking about Chris McIntosh continuously bringing Greg Gard back without the success or without the, you look at the winning seasons. Okay, yeah, he's got a lot of winning seasons. But what's that ending with, right? You got to have an end goal. What's the end goal, right? Is the end goal to finish third in the Big Ten? Because if that's the end goal, we're right there. But the end goal should be a little bit more. And the Badgers aren't getting that little bit more. The players aren't developing that little bit more. And that's something that I think, looking at this team, is something that might hinge Chris McIntosh getting another extension, is that contract. Because if he continuously keeps bringing Gard back with continuous non-improvement, that might alter what's going to happen there. I don't know. I mean, Autumn, do you hear anything in that baffles you, that you wouldn't agree with there? I mean, the Luke Fickell, the Chris McIntosh, two of the bigger programs, I guess, two of the ones that are mainly talked about, outside of hockey, right? But we already saw the men's hockey team pull off a pretty good year this year. The women's hockey team is consistently good, so it's hard to argue with those two fronts. But the men's basketball and football seem to be the two hottest topics of head coaches that, we hear about.
I mean, not really. I agree with you completely with what you had to say. I do think that I'm curious to see how this basketball season will go for the men. Like you said, they start out hot, they do really well, but then as soon as you start to get to the March Madness, things fall apart. And I'm just curious, and like what happened last year with the football team. They stuck along with teams that they should have been blowing out of the water. So I think it's to a point where I'm really curious to see how this season's going to go for them.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, like I said, like you said, you've had these guys for a while now. They have their guys in house now. They've been able to develop some of these guys. How does it play out? How does it play out now? You've had Longo Longo's been around now. Tressel's been around. They've had enough time to put their systems in. The dairy raid offense, like we know with Longo, Tressel with his defense, the change is there. How does it shape up now? And I think, like we're saying, that's going to hinge a lot of what happens there in this scenario. So, good stuff seeing McIntosh being extended. Now we just wait and see what's going to happen there with some of these head coaches over the years here. If McIntosh sticks with them, if that's going to be the downfall of them. if he does stick with them, if that will be the downfall of, say, McIntosh if Gard struggles, or if Luke Fickell doesn't get up to snuff and he's stuck with this guy and he stuck his neck out and gave him the big payday. Is that going to be one of those things? So something to keep an eye on there with the Badgers, but big news coming out of the weekend there for this Badger team. So we got lots more to get into, but before we get there, I want to mention some great sponsors of the show. Great sponsors there. First, Game Day Supply in Alaska. Do you have a sports club or team? Are you looking for some sweet custom uniforms or apparel? Check out the awesome crew at Game Day Supply in Alaska to help your team get the sweetest gear. Find them on Facebook at Game Day Supply or online at GameDaySupply.net. Also, Sport and Spine Clinic in Greenwood, Wisconsin. If you've been injured recently, whether it was at work, whether you were playing men's league rec softball, pushing the lawnmower, whatever it was, you were injured and you need some physical therapy. Stop in there and see Chad at Sport and Spine Clinic in Greenwood, Wisconsin. He'll get you right. He'll get you back to work, back mowing the lawn, back playing softball, whatever it was. He'll get you back there feeling better than ever. Sport and Spine Clinic in Greenwood. Sports Scene, sports cards, and memorabilia. Located in the Marshfield Mall in Marshfield, Wisconsin. Get down there and see Al. He has everything you need, from sporting cards to memorabilia, jerseys, model stock cars. He's got it all. Sports Scene in Marshfield. Marshfield Motor Speedway is located just 3 miles outside of Marshfield on County Road H. Get down there this summer. Tons of family fun still to be had down there at the track. Great food, great drinks, great atmosphere. Nothing better than a great summer day or night down at the track. Marshfield Motor Speedway's there. Pittsville Farm and Home Center. At the store, they serve you anything from hydraulic hoses to red roses. Stop in and see the awesome crew at Pittsville Farm and Home Center in Pittsville, Wisconsin. And also your hometown team, Century 21 Gold Key Realty. Call Peggy Sue or Anna to find your dream home, or if you're looking to sell. Find them on Facebook at your hometown team, Century 21 Gold Key Realty, or stop in and see them at their location in Marshfield. So with that, I want to get to Autumn's tidbits. She's got her tidbits of the day there. So Autumn, what do we got?
Yeah, a little bit shorter today. I just wanted to kind of go into the preseason. We were just talking about college football. So I want to go into the preseason poll from Josh Pate predictions that he came out. So he had 25 teams that he came out with. I'm not going to read them all off. But the top 5 were Georgia, Ohio State, Oregon, Texas, and Alabama in that order. The bottom 5 in this order were South Carolina, Florida Gators, Iowa State, Oklahoma State, Wisconsin, and Iowa State.
Ohio State, Oregon, Penn State, Wisconsin in that order there, coming out of the Big Ten Conference on that list there. So, I mean, just Michigan mixed in there too. They're coming in after Penn State. Or they're coming in after, it was after Oregon's in there, followed by Penn State. I mean, looking at that top 25, nothing really surprising in that standard there. I mean, you got Ohio State in the 2 spot right now, Oregon in the 3. They just got Dylan Gabriel out of Oklahoma there. I mean, he's coming over. You got Penn State. They're bringing in a good recruiting class, good in the transfer portal there. Michigan returning a good amount of the starters there. And then, I mean, looking down that list of Big Ten teams, you finally get your way down. You get to Wisconsin there. I mean, solid. I mean, Wisconsin, solid. You don't know what to expect. Tyler Van Dyke's coming in. You got a good receiving core coming back. Defense supposed to be good, right? Hunter Wohler's coming back. You're going to have some good players on that defense there. So lots of good players there, to work around there in the Big Ten Conference. Going to be interesting. Going to be interesting to see, like we were just talking about with Fickell, how he works with this new group of guys, how Tyler Van Dyke fits into the system, Ches Malusi coming back on the offense now. Going to be very good. I mean, I think the Badgers will be good this year. I think they will be good. 24 is about where I would see them right now. I'm going to be honest with you. 24 would be about where I see them right now. Ohio State's bringing in a good class. Oregon's bringing in a good class. Penn State's also in that same boat. Michigan's always in that boat, it seems like. So I definitely, the list makes sense. Autumn's mic is working again. So some of your not mentioned, some of your teams that were mentioned in there that you had listed there.
Some of the not mentioned teams that were in the top 25 were Minnesota, Rutgers, Nebraska, Illinois, and Michigan State. Trajan, what are your thoughts on them not being mentioned in that top 25? Do you think they should have been mentioned? Should some not have been mentioned? What are your thoughts?
Minnesota, no. Rutgers stinks. Nebraska's got a good quarterback now, but you got a quarterback. Like, still need to make it work. You got to have an offensive line. You got to have a running back. You got to have something that works, right? So maybe they're good. Maybe Nebraska figures it out. But until I see it, I got to see it, right? I got to see it on the field. I'm not putting Nebraska in there. Illinois, Brett Bielema's still worried about Wisconsin. He still has feuds. He has feuds with Luke Fickell now, and Fickell had nothing to do with when Brett Bielema left. So, I mean, Illinois is just a mess. Michigan State's still a mess. So, I mean, those teams not being mentioned in the top 25, anywhere near it, that's fine. That's fine. I wouldn't even have him close. I wouldn't have had him close in there with that. So with that, I mean, we had one more big topic coming out of the weekend. Autumn, you can get the numbers for me on this one. But the Jordan Love contract. Jordan Love signed his contract over the weekend. A big sigh of relief. It was a relief. It was a relief to finally have that done and get it over with on the backside, right? I mean, that's what you need. It was a clapping moment there. I mean, it was surreal, right? Surreal. Like, we just felt it. We felt this on the inside. It just had to be that way. Right? I mean, I'm sitting there doing absolutely nothing, right? Just enjoying myself down at the county fair, having a few too many beers like you're supposed to right here in Wisconsin, and that was my feeling. That was my feeling when I saw it come across. So, Autumn, we got the numbers, the official numbers on the contract. Do you have them pulled up there?
I do. So Jordan Love signed a 4-year contract at $220 million, including a $75 million signing bonus with $160,300,000 guaranteed, with an average annual salary of $55 million, making him the highest paid quarterback in NFL history.
Bam. That's like mic drop right there. Mic drop. I mean, you know what? People were upset. They're like, "Oh, you're signing Jordan Love to this massive contract, and he's only proven something for a half a season. And oh my goodness, the world was on fire. We're gonna pay him all this money. What if he stinks? What if he does? Okay, then you bite the bullet, right? You got to do it. But if you don't sign that contract, let's just say you don't sign that contract. You tell him, I want to see you do it in your 5th year. Let's say he lights the world on fire, wins the MVP. What do you do then? Because that $220 million, it gets a lot more. And the decision for Jordan Love to come back to Green Bay then becomes a lot harder, because there's going to be other teams in on that. They're going to be offering money. They're going to be offering this. They're going to be offering that. It's a deal you have to make. That's just the way the NFL works. It's the way the market works now. You just don't have a choice anymore. Right? I mean, your quarterback, like many people have said, and I'm not the only one who's going to say this, the quarterback position may be the most important position in sports. Because if you don't have a quarterback, you really don't have a football team. That's just how it works. So, I mean, yes, will I agree he only had a half a year that was good? Yes. He had a subpar start to the year, a good second half, right? And the second half was great, phenomenal. Like, you have people talking about him being one of the better quarterbacks in football right now. So, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I don't believe that Jordan Love could be good, because I was a doubter. If you guys have listened, I doubted Jordan Love for the longest time. For the longest time. I said Jordan Love was, this and that, and that the Packers needed to move on, and that they shouldn't have let Aaron Rodgers go, and that they should start Sean Clifford. I was saying everything underneath the blue moon. And I ate my words on it, because he proved me wrong. He did his thing. He stuck with it. The receivers got better. He got better. Everything started to flow. Matt LaFleur, as his coach, opened up holes for him that we didn't know he could open up. The play calling was phenomenal, and Jordan Love looked good. Sometimes that's all it takes. So, is the contract great in the circumstance? Probably not. Because in hindsight, for half a good season, would you want to see all that money get floated out there? Probably not. But you got to. You have to make this deal. Otherwise, the contract gets bigger. Teams start floating in, and you might lose Jordan Love. So now you have to start from ground zero again. You have to go to the draft. You might have to look elsewhere, right? And is elsewhere going to be better, right? You're going to start yourself over. now you have a chance to build. You have a chance to build with Jordan Love. He's the centerpiece, right? Now you build around him, as they have. Through the draft, a little bit of picking guys up here and there. It's slowly building into something that you want to see. So, the contract, though it seems pricey, it had to happen. It was the deal. And, I'm thinking it's going to be a good deal. I'm hoping it's going to be a good deal. We'll see. It's a wait and see, right? It's an encore performance now. We saw Jordan Love in the first season, his first full season as a starter. The beginning, kind of rocky, figured it out in the second half. Though he made some questionable decisions, right? The biggest one that people bring up is the 49ers game late. Did he have to make that throw across the field? To the middle of the field? Probably not. Right? With all the timeouts. But that's a young quarterback. That's a young quarterback in one of the biggest... in the biggest moment of his career, playing the 49ers on the road, you have to lead your team down the field and score to win it. That's a tough spot. There are very few quarterbacks who are going to lead their team down the field and win that game, right? Especially in that spot. You have the 49ers on the ropes all game long. You led the entire time, and now you're looking to go to the NFC Championship, and you couldn't do it. And it happens. So, you forget, you move on. The Packers have forgot about it because, like I said, they signed this massive contract with them. They're going to move on with it, and they have faith in them. They've been pretty good at having faith in quarterbacks. Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, and now Jordan Love. So, now we wait and see. It's a wait-and-see moment, but I rejoiced. I was glad it was over. I'm glad we get to now see a little bit of Jordan Love in training camp. We get to see him work with his receivers. We get to see the offense as it should be. No Sean Clifford working around. None of these other quarterbacks, right? We get to see the number one, QB1, in the huddle again and not standing there in a sweatshirt off to the side just watching practice. So, great stuff. I thought that was great stuff coming off the weekend there. Autumn, any thoughts on the Jordan Love contract? Nothing like that? No, all good on that. And so, that's where we stand. Packers made the deal. They got it done, as everybody was hoping for. Good stuff there coming out of Green Bay. So, with that, before we get to the Brewer talk, because like I said, we're at the trade deadline. We got to get to the Brewers today. Before we get there, I want to get to our fact of the day with Autumn there. And hopefully we got the music back on. Good enough.
Send kids to their grandma's house through postal service. So they found about 7 instances of people mailing children between 1913 and 1915, beginning with the baby in Ohio. Now, this wasn't common to mail your children, yet for long distances, it would have been cheaper to buy the stamps to send a kid by railway mail than to buy them a ticket on a passenger train.
Of the day there with that too, and that's why you had the weird one to start. That's odd. So we're mailing kids. We're just mailing kids is what you're telling me.
In the early 1900s, yeah. There wasn't, when I was looking at it, apparently there wasn't a lot of specifics on postal mail, so then people went to that link.
Well, now you know. There ain't much more I can add to that. I'm trying to ponder up something in my head, but I guess nowadays don't try to mail your kid. Maybe back in the day, mail your kid around, send him to grandma's house. Maybe in 7 days the kid will actually show up. I don't know. But my worry would be nowadays with U.S. Postal Service and the UPS trucks and the Fed. If you ever got a package from FedEx, they dang near throw that thing at your door from the highway. It doesn't matter if your driveway's a mile long; they'll just throw it. So don't mail your kid anymore because your kid will get a concussion from being tossed from a FedEx truck. Nah, I'm just taking shots at FedEx now. I'm sorry. That's American. What is it? What's the one with the eagle? No, not the one with the eagle. Is there like an American one? No, that's a credit card. I'm trying to think of there's a third one. There's a FedEx, UPS. Can't remember the other one now. It might be just the United States Postal Service. I don't know. I always thought there was a third one there. But, man, baffling. Baffling news coming out of 1913 with mailing your kids around. Never knew that. Now you know something new. You know something new today, folks. That's what you needed to know. You needed to know something like that. So let's get to the Brewers. Let's get to the Brewers. We got a trade deadline coming up today. I did not expect it to come this fast. I mean, I'm sitting here, talking about trades, thinking about trades. Didn't realize it was so close. It's here. The trade deadline is here. It's today. It is today, folks, and it is dangerously close because our Brewers have done nothing besides get Nick Mears yet. So we're going to get into that Nick Mears deal. We're going to look all over it. So to start it, let's look at the injury report because wowza. So we see the Airbender come back. That was great. We saw Devin Williams come back. So bolster up the bullpen, right, folks? We get the Airbender back. We get to move guys around in the bullpen. Everything's looking great. And then, oh my goodness, it's like everybody decided to get hurt at the same exact time. So we see Trevor McGill go down with a low back strain. He's out 15 days. We see Brian Hudson go down with a left oblique strain. He's down on the 15-day IL. We see Rob Zastrinsky go on the 15-day IL. So that's three Hudson and McGill, your big-time relievers. Rob Zastrinsky was actually pitching extremely well for the Brewers in like a long reliever role for him. He goes down. Holy cats. Right? Holy cats. Look at that. It's like we got one guy back, right? Our all-star closer, and then everybody else says, oh, we've been hurt this entire time. Now that you guys got Dev back, we're going to go on the injured list. We're going to call it a day. Not good news on that front. And then, we do see J.B. Butkus. He ends up going on a rehab assignment. He was down with the ACL Brewers there in the Arizona League. And then he did get moved up to the Nashville Sound. So maybe we get J.B. Butkus back pretty soon. But outside of that, we're looking at an injured list through the roof there. The Brewers they made a lot of moves. They have made a lot of moves with those injuries. We did see Tyler J was recalled from Nashville Sounds. Nick Mears, we're going to talk about that here in a second. He was activated by the Brewers, so now you have him out in the bullpen there. Jansen Junk was designated for assignments. Looking down the line here, we've seen a lot of moves here. The Nick Mears move, we're going to talk about in a second here. Signed a lot of guys, not a lot of big names there on the list of guys they've signed, so nothing really to talk. There's average. Nothing really crazy on that front there. And then they did sign Jaden Fielder, who is the son of Prince Fielder, to a minor league deal. He was not selected in the draft, but they did end up signing him. So pretty cool news coming out of the Brewers there. But we did see the Brewers, they grabbed up on Nick Mears. Autumn, do you have potentially the stats on Nick Mears? What we've seen from him this season there. He was with the Rockies, now coming over to the Brewers there. The stats don't tell you everything. So, Autumn, what have we seen so far with Mears in the stats department?
So far in the... I'm sorry, my iPad is lagging, so I do apologize for that.
No, you're good. You're good on the backside.
So the 2024 regular season, We're
having some problems in the back room right now. We're having some problems in the background right now. Looking at Mears, I got stats pulled up right here. It's all good. Looking at the stats right now, if you look at the stats, it looks bad. It looks bad for Mears there. He has that 1-4 record, a 5.56 ERA, 41 games pitched, and he's got 45 innings and 57 strikeouts. So you're like, oh my goodness gracious. Look at that. Look at that ERA there. What are the Brewers doing? This isn't a good move. This is a bad move. This is just one of those Brewer moves that we're used to, right? Well, yes. But if you look at Nick Mears over the recent period, now we got to look recent with this Mears deal. It has looked a lot better. He still has, you're talking about a guy with an electric fastball, some underrated breaking stuff there. And you look at the stats over the last 7 games, 3.68 ERA, in those 7 1/3 innings pitched there, 3 earned runs. He's got 10 strikeouts. This is a guy who, if he puts it all together and the Brewers can work with him, they get him in the pitching lab, they can work with him there. This is a guy who the Brewers could potentially figure out. Right? Electric fastball, good breaking stuff. You put those together with the Brewers' great pitching coaches that they have fixed a lot of pitchers over the years, this could be a good move for the Brewers. Now it's a wait and see, right? We haven't seen him pitch for the Brewers yet, so we're still waiting on that to see him go there. But it could be a great move. It could be an underrated great move for the Brewers to give him a solid guy in that bullpen. So that's a good move by the Brewers there. So we see Mears. He gets added up by the Brewers there. They do end up dealing off Bradley Black, who we've seen in the majors a little bit this year, bouncing from Double-A up to the majors. We've seen him a little bit. He gets moved there. And then we also see Herrera, a right-handed pitcher from down there in the minors. He gets moved there for Nick Mears. So, like we always say with the Brewers, not a huge move, but it could be a good move. It could be a good move. It's not a well-known, this guy is pitching fantastic this year kind of move, but it's a solid move. It's a solid move, and that's all you can say. So hopefully, like I say, good stuff coming out of that trade there. Like I said, we haven't seen him yet. We haven't seen him pitching for the Brewers yet, so maybe this is an underlying move that we're going to talk about later on this year. Hopefully, we're talking about in the playoffs there as a great reliever for the Brewers in the second half. Now to the trade deadline. Right, we saw a big deal happen yesterday. Dodgers and the Cardinals and the White Sox in a 3-team deal there. We saw the Dodgers get Michael Kopech and Tommy Edman. We saw the Cardinals get Tommy Pham and Eric Fetty. And we saw the White Sox get Miguel Vargas, Alexander Albertus, and Jarrell Perez there from the Dodgers. So Cardinals, they get Pham and Fetty, right? The Brewers were big in on Fetty. So it's like crap, right? This was crap. And I saw a lot of people saying, well, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't think the Brewers have to make a move now because the Cardinals added up Fetty and they added up, Tommy Pham there. And I could see that. I could see what you're saying there. Don't freak out. Don't freak out. There's no reason to freak out. The Cardinals are making moves. You know what the Cardinals making moves tells me? The Cardinals don't really see the Brewers as being that far ahead in the division. I know I've heard it a million times. The Brewers have a comfortable lead in the division. I can tell you what, that could change in a week. That could change in a week span. We just saw a struggling series against the Marlins. We've seen a struggle for a while from the Brewers. And now you're playing the Braves. You got another trip with the Braves yet. It's not, I'm not going to say, you have to start freaking out. But I'm going to tell you what, it'd make me feel a lot better if the Brewers went out there and made a move. Now, there's a lot of guys available. Now, we did see, like yesterday, I saw Jack Flaherty was scratched from his start for the Tigers. Like you always know, I shoot this day before. So I don't know if they're going to make a move in the middle of the night, right? We know teams make moves in the middle of the night. So I'm not going to say the Brewers, aren't in on Jack Flaherty right now, that another team isn't grabbing Jack Flaherty. But Flaherty's out there. Florio's out there from the Nationals. Cal Quantrill from the Rockies. Is he a big move? No. Is he an arm? Yes. Looking down the line there, you still got Tyler Anderson out there right now. The Yankees have said Nestor Cortez is available. I don't like Nestor. I hate Nestor. I'm going to be honest with you. But a move's a move, right? A move's a move, and the Brewers need to make a move. I don't know, and this is where it's going to lead in my next question. Where do the Brewers truthfully need help on this roster? The outfield, Yelich is out. Now, the Brewers making a move in the outfield is going to bar on how long do they believe Yelich is going to be out? Because that's a hole. That's a hole that he left in the lineup there. So I truthfully believe the Brewers could add a bat. I'm not gonna bat an eye on the Brewers adding a bat out there, a consistent bat, right? Starting pitching is a definite for me. I just don't know with the bullpen. right? I don't know what the bullpen. Could you use another bullpen arm? Definitely. You definitely could. But let's just say you go and you add a bullpen arm. You have McGill. You have Brian Hudson, Devin Williams, Jared Canning. You have guys like Zestrinsky when he comes back, if JP Buckus figures it out. And, I mean, you have Paguero, Payamps, and Hobie Milner. Those are all guys that, I mean, they have the stuff. It's just if they can figure them out. So does the bullpen need help? It never hurts to add an arm. But with the Brewers, it's almost like you have to pick and choose a spot. I'm picking and choosing the starting rotation. Autumn, I mean, where do the Brewers need help? If you had to think of a spot, I mean, you got starters, relievers, position players. Where, if you're looking at the Brewers right now, where do you see them, if you were the Brewers heading into, should have been yesterday, but end of the day here, heading up towards the deadline, where are you looking to add right now?
I'm not gonna lie, I completely agree with you in the sense that I wish we had, I think our lineup's doing okay. We have a lot of young talent in there, but I wish we had a more solid bat. I mean, we have Christian Yelich. Granted, he can be a hit or miss depending on the week, but I still think he's a consistent bat that is good for the Brewers. Now, I also agree that I wish we had a solid starting pitcher. I mean, we have a bullpen, but I personally do not feel we have a solid starting pitcher.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I mean, Freddie Peralta is your guy, and Colin Ray's been pitching solid. Tobias Myers has been solid, but you need that number one, and I don't truthfully believe the Brewers have that number one. So that begs my next question here. Truthfully, do I see the Brewers making a move? And I'm going to be honest, and, reports came out after the fact that the Brewers were upset that Fedde ended up going to the Cardinals because they had a trade package centered around Brock Wilken, one of the Brewers' better prospects. Okay. If you're really after a guy, if you know other teams are involved, you make a deal that cannot be denied. And as we're recording right now, we do see the Brewers just made a deal. We just saw they made a deal for Frankie Montas. Now, I mean, this is from the Reds, so an interesting development. I'm glad that it came up across the board there. Autumn actually pointed out there. She's having issues back there with the screen, but up on the TV as we're watching the Brewer game there, as we're recording, this deal came up, and this is another one of those deals. Frankie Montas. I mean, good stuff. He's had good stuff in past seasons there, but you look at him this year in Cincinnati, 4-8 with a 5 ERA, 93 innings pitched there. He's given up 14 home runs, 52 earned runs, 78 strikeouts on the year for Frankie. This is a Brewer move. This is a Brewer move right here. I would be interested to see is there any developing news of what the trade was centered around? Is there any? They probably don't have that full list out there of who is in that deal. I mean, it's one of the better starters that are left on the trade market in that division, like teams that are actually going to deal. We saw the Cubs making deals. We've seen the Cardinals making deals. The Pirates aren't going to move starters. So the Reds, that was the best. I mean, best he had to offer in division. Is there anything that they've released now on who was involved in that trade, or if it might just say Frankie Montas right now? I mean, more details later, right? So stay tuned on the Facebook page, the Twitter page, Instagram. We'll let you know who is involved in a deal, who the Brewers end up sending to the Reds there. But maybe Frankie Montas. The Brewers have had success with like Wade Miley and Gio Gonzalez and Yoelis Chacin over the years. Maybe Frankie Montas is another one of those for the Brewers. Not the biggest deal, but we see the Brewers make a move. So I guess in that sense, good. I'm just interested to see what the backside of that deal is there. So I guess that answers my first question. Do I see the Brewers making a move? They've made 2 moves so far. Do I see them making a big move? No. I see it, no. The Brewers will make small deals because, I guess I was asked that question earlier today by a good friend, And they said, with this Brewers team, do you see them making a move for anybody big named? And I said, honestly, no, because ownership for the Brewers is not how they operate. And they don't like making big deals with prospects. They don't like shipping off prospects. The Brewers are in a situation right now where nobody expected them to be good. So the owners can ride that. They can ride that. Nobody expected them to be good, so we can just sit stagnant because we're doing better than expected, right? Now, would I say that? No, because I think the Brewers have a lot of upside. The lineup's actually been good this year. They've scuffled as of late, but the lineup's been good. If Yelich comes back, they get even better. On the flip side of the pitching has struggled. Can you fix that with a trade? No, maybe multiple trades, right? A Frankie Montas deal, that's a solid back end of the rotation kind of guy, right? Maybe you still dip in there and try to find a number one. Maybe a number two. I don't think you're going to find a number one, right? I think the asking prices for all the number ones is going to be too high. The Brewers will have to look into the littler pool of pitchers, which was Frankie Montas. Now, there's other guys out there like that. I do believe the Brewers, I would love to see that they're in on Jack Flaherty. I think that would be a big move. He's not a number one anymore, but he could be a number two. If you have two number twos in Freddie and Jack Flaherty, that equals a number one, right? So I'm in on that. I'd be in on that. I think there's a lot of good moves the Brewers could make there. Do I see them making a big-time move? I don't think so. I don't. I would love to see it. I don't see it. I don't see them making a big move. I see them sitting more stagnant in that department there. Any other players available for the Brewers out there, the only guy in the starters that I could see available would be in the outfield, and the one that keeps crossing my mind is Garrett Mitchell. I don't know if that, I saw that, I thought about that earlier, but with the injuries in the outfield, I just don't see it as a potential to move him. I don't. I think the Brewers have to hold still with trading away some of their bats. I don't think they have enough bats to trade. So I would not be making a deal right now with Mitchell. I wouldn't be looking at trading away any of the guys in the bigs right now. I'd be looking, if you're going to make a trade, it's minor league guys. It's minor league guys getting shipped out. I don't think you're trading away any big league level guys there right now. So with that, that's about all we got. Big day, trade deadline day here in the U.S., the state of Wisconsin, the U.S. Big things watching right now is the trade deadline. Like I say, keep up to date with it. We're gonna be on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, letting you know deals that are being made. Rumors, everything like that, deals that the Brewers are in on. We're going to be keeping you guys up to date on the Facebook page, Instagram, and Twitter. So stay tuned on there. Give it a follow, give it a like out there. And, hopefully we see the Brewers make a big-time move there. But with that, this has been Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. Thank you guys for listening. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. But until we talk to you guys again tomorrow, deuces.
Yeah, oh my Lord, watch me sway. Darkness falls and we all pray, hoping for the light of day. Down to the river I have held the devil's hand, felt the weight of my own sin, burdened by the heart.